You must have heard about Nag Nishimata, either in Jaipur or Jodhpur. Nag Nishimata is the Kuldevi family deity of the Rajput community. So we will begin this video by paying our respects to her. A salute from our side to Nag Nishimata. I always try to convey a message through my videos, especially when our subscribers or followers send us their personal stories. Today's story was sent to us by Riddhi Rathore, who experienced a tragic incident in 2018, one that nearly wiped out her entire family. Although Riddhi had shared this story with us quite some time ago, it took a while for us to reach and present it. When I first heard about this incident, I felt that it was important to share it with you because there are elements in this story that you might have never heard before. Welcome to Horror Stories. I'm Ankur Pandit, and here, we dive into chilling real-life paranormal encounters shared by those who've lived through them. Your feedback fuels our passion, so keep those comments coming. Now, let's get back to the story. We've often heard that black magic around us typically involves DNA traces like hair, clothes, nails, or blood. However, what I'm going to tell you today will give you goosebumps, and you might start questioning if the people around you are truly who they seem to be. Without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into the story. Riddhi shared that in 2018, she had visited her family in Jaipur. Her family consisted of her parents and her younger sister, who lived with her. She also had an elder sister, but she was married and wasn't at their house at that time. For a long time, the family had been planning to visit the Nag Nishimata temple in Rajasthan, as she was their family deity. There had always been issues in the house, and they believed that someone had cast a spell on their family. They also believed that if you worship your family deity, you don't need to consult a tantric, black magic practitioner. Riddhi shared all these emotions with us, which I will cover gradually in this video. In 2018, Riddhi's family made a plan that included her parents and younger sister to visit their Kuldevi in Rajasthan. At first, Riddhi wasn't in the mood to go, but her younger sister insisted, saying, "Sister, please come along. It won't feel right leaving you alone at home." Eventually, Riddhi agreed to go. There was also a close brother who had wanted to visit the temple for a long time, and he requested to join them. They hired a driver who had been known to them for quite some time and was quite responsible. Riddhi got ready in about 15 to 20 minutes and came downstairs, announcing that she was ready to leave. They all left for Rajasthan and visited the temple. However, while returning, they encountered an accident. As they were coming back, they saw a goat on the road. You know how sometimes a herd of goats can be found wandering on roads, but this one goat separated from the group and blocked their car. It had been a long journey, and there was no one on the road to help them. Everyone was worried about getting home late. They asked the driver to move the goat out of the way. Riddhi, who was sitting in the back, noticed something strange about the goat. There was a weird iron circle around its neck, something that is not usually seen on goats. The driver got out of the car and tried to shoo the goat away, shouting, "Move, move," as we usually do with animals. When the goat didn't budge, the driver had to push it off the road. After that, he returned to the car, and they continued their journey. It was already evening, and Riddhi suddenly asked them to pull over as she felt suffocated and needed to drink some water. They stopped the car for a moment, and after drinking some water, Riddhi asked to sit in the front seat because she wasn't feeling well. So, she switched seats with her brother, who was sitting in the front, and he moved to the back. As they resumed the drive, Riddhi felt that it had been quite a long time driving in silence. She suggested playing some music to lift everyone's spirits. Her younger sister agreed and asked her to play something cheerful to refresh the mood. Riddhi then played the music. Riddhi insisted on playing devotional songs, but her younger sister wanted to play modern, trendy songs to appear cool. This led to an argument between them, with Riddhi insisting that only devotional songs would be played or no songs at all. Finally, everyone agreed to play the devotional songs. They continued their journey home, which was still quite far. At this point, the driver suddenly insisted on taking a shortcut, claiming it would get them home faster. In Indian families, it's common to take shortcuts whenever possible, without thinking about the potential consequences. Something similar happened to them. The driver insisted on taking the shortcut, but instead of saving time, they ended up 25 kilometers off course. After realizing they were lost in what seemed like a jungle, they asked a local villager for directions. The villager informed them that they had strayed 25 kilometers from the main road and needed to turn back. Rudy observed that the driver had been acting strange since they took the wrong route. He was driving the car without paying attention to his surroundings, just staring straight ahead, which was disturbing, especially since the whole family was in the car. As they returned, they came to a point where they were confused about whether to take the left or right turn. The driver, without hesitation, took a sharp right. Rudy's father, sitting in the back, immediately reminded them that they should have taken the left turn. But the driver continued speeding down the wrong road, and suddenly, their car went off the road and plunged 10 feet down into a ditch, where it miraculously got stuck. Hearing this might seem strange, but Rudy was terrified. Her entire family was in the car, with her sitting in the front. As soon as the car fell, just like in a movie scene, Rudy panicked, worrying that the car might catch fire. She quickly got out of the car, helped her family members out, and then turned her attention to the driver. He was still calmly gripping the steering wheel, staring out the window without any expression. When I heard this part, I literally got goosebumps. If it had happened to me, I would have left the driver right there. Rudy yelled at the driver, "Are you crazy? Get out of the car. You'll fall down with the car." Rudy could see the depth below them and knew they were lucky the car hadn't fallen further. The driver suddenly snapped out of his trance, saying, "Yes, yes, I'm getting out," and climbed out of the car. Rudy, using the flashlight on her phone, quickly climbed up the slope through the bushes and looked around. There was no one in sight. It said that God helps us in such times, and suddenly she spotted a motorcycle in the distance. The rider noticed the light coming from the jungle and shouted, "Is there someone there?" Rudy quickly called out, "Brother, please help us. We're stuck." The biker immediately came over and saw the car 10 feet down in the ditch. Slowly and carefully, he helped them get the family members out of the car. The biker then said, "Wait here for a few minutes. There's a village about 15 minutes ahead, and I'll bring help." In such a situation, getting help is truly a blessing. The biker brought around 5 or 6 people with him, along with a tractor. Meanwhile, Rudy's family sat there trying to compose themselves. The best thing was that no one in Rudy's family was hurt, not even a scratch. However, what was unsettling was that the driver still hadn't come to his senses. He kept looking around, seemingly without any regret or fear on his face. The tractor arrived, and together they pulled the car out. The villagers were very kind, offering water and comforting them, telling them to be careful as they continue their journey. The family was still in shock, trying to process what had just happened. They couldn't confront the driver right away and decided to focus on getting home first. After driving for about half an hour, they saw a roadside eatery dhaba and stopped there. They had some water and tea. At such moments, family members often don't talk to each other much. There was another family at the eatery serving them tea. An older lady from that family came to Rudy and said, "You look really shaken. Did something happen?" Rudy told her that about 20 or 30 minutes ago, their car had fallen into a ditch. The lady, surprisingly, said, "You survived that ditch? Just 4 days ago, a car fell there and 4 people died. There's a pond down there. You all are lucky to be alive." Although the woman's question may have seemed inappropriate, Rudy was shocked and kept thinking that some higher power must have saved them because it was almost impossible to survive that. What was also concerning was that the driver was still not himself. He was calmly sitting, holding his cup of tea, staring blankly. Everyone found this odd. Finally, the family made it home around 10:30 or 11 o'clock p.m. Everyone was getting ready to sleep, and Rudy put her phone down by her bedside. At around 2 or 3 a.m., Rudy received a call from the driver. Surprised, she wondered why he was calling so late. She answered and asked, "What happened? Is everything all right?" The driver, in a frightened tone, said, "Sister, I wanted to let you know that I still have the keys to the car parked outside your house." Rudy responded, "Why are you so worried about this? It's not a big deal." But the driver, in a panic, said, "Sister, I'm looking out the window, and the car is turning on and off by itself. The headlights and wipers are moving on their own, and it's happening every few minutes." Hearing this, Rudy was shocked. She replied, "Maybe when the car fell into the ditch, some wires got crossed." But the driver quickly said, "No, sister, the indicators are blinking, and the wipers are moving on their own." Rudy tried to reassure him, saying, "It's probably just a wiring issue. Don't worry, go to sleep. We'll look at it in the morning." The driver insisted, "Let me show you on a video call," but Rudy refused, saying, "I don't have the courage to see that right now. I'm too tired." Inside, she was terrified but told the driver that they would handle it in the morning. The next morning, Rudy arrived at the car's location with a few mechanics to check on the vehicle. They tried to start the car, but it wouldn't start. The battery was dead, likely because the car had turned on and off so many times during the night. There was no mechanical fault or any other explanation for what had happened. Rudy became extremely anxious, not understanding what was going on. The family discussed the situation, increasingly worried that these strange events were escalating. Finally, they decided to consult a nearby woman who was said to be possessed by a goddess Mata at times. When they told her what had happened, the woman revealed that a form of black magic known as Kriya had been performed on them. Kriya is a ritual that can be used to bring harm or death to someone. It can be performed using various methods, including taking items from cremation grounds or using personal belongings, like a photo or DNA, to perform the ritual. The woman explained that the ritual had been channeled through the goat that the driver had touched. When the driver made contact with the goat, the spirit transferred to him. That's why the driver had driven straight into the ditch. It was an attempt to kill them. Rudy asked the woman how they had survived, and she replied, "It was the blessing of your family's deity, Nagneshi Mata. Without her protection, none of you would have survived. Your death was certain." Hearing this, Rudy was deeply frightened. When asked who had performed the Kriya, the woman did not reveal the name, wanting to avoid conflict within the family. However, they later found out that a few months prior, during a large ritual at Rudy's house, several relatives had attended, and many of Rudy's clothes had been stolen. So it was certain that the Kriya, a form of black magic, was performed by their own relatives. After that, their entire family and the surrounding area began to worship Nagneshi Mata intensely. Their life's problems have since been greatly sorted out, and nothing of that sort happens to them anymore. Now, when we talk about Nagneshi Mata, you may have heard about the temple of Om Bana Ji in Rajasthan. I've heard a lot about it. Om Bana, who was one of the princes of Rajasthan, was returning on his bullet motorcycle after visiting Nagneshi Mata's temple. On the way, he met with an accident. I won't say that he died because it is believed that he is still among us. People say that Om Bana is still present with us, and whenever someone is in trouble and sincerely remembers Nagneshi Mata or Om Bana, they come to help them in some form. If you're not familiar with the name Om Bana, let me clarify that in Rajasthan, he is popularly known as Bullet Baba, who is highly revered. It is said that after his accident, his bullet motorcycle was taken to the police station, but it mysteriously returned to its original place overnight. There are many such miraculous incidents seen in places like Jaipur, Jodhpur, and Rajasthan, where strange miracles happen. I spent much of my childhood in that area, and I have witnessed things that I would call miracles, as well as some occurrences beyond understanding. Rudy is now very happy in her life. She shared her experience from 2018, and she believes that whenever you face difficulties or challenges, if you remember your family deities, they will definitely come to protect you. Before we wrap up, I kindly ask for your support. Subscribe to Horror Stories and hit the bell icon to be the first to catch our latest updates. Stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.